That is why organizations are perfect, because you can learn fundamentals from them, but then you get to put your hustle to something you know is valid. Now nobody can do it but you. And you can teach that to people who want to learn hustle. Now you have developed a team, and now you're unstoppable.
Welcome to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Are you trying to get out of debt, invest, or just not sure where to start? Then this is the place for you. We discuss different ways to get out of the rat race and build your wealth. Join us on this wild ride to financial freedom.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Cavaggioni, and today's special guest is DC Glenn. So DC Glenn is from Tag Team. For those of you that don't know, me growing up in the 90s, I definitely know who he is and who they are. So DC, it is a pleasure. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. Before we get started, I got to get something off my chest.
All right.
Sprinkle! I'm ready.
All right, cool. Now that we've got that settled. All right. And they're everywhere now. They're everywhere. Actually, I just got done celebrating my oldest daughter turning 13, and we bought this candle that actually shot out like this sprinkle confetti. It was like an explosion. So that's immediately just brought me to that.
Man, I'm telling you. That's
awesome.
We just got back from Alaska, got paid a whole bunch of money to scoop ice cream for kids. And every picture we took with people, like the owner of the Geico store, insurance agent, he bought like 35 pounds of sprinkles. And every picture, I would just throw sprinkles before the lady took the picture. And every picture and video had sprinkles in them. And it was like by the end of the day, it was a sprinkle carpet on the floor. That was so beautiful.
That's awesome.
Incredible. I have a blessed life, man. I get to do a lot of fun things, man. So I can't wait to get into this with you.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of that, let's talk about your blessed life. If you could, let's share a little bit about yourself, share your story. Who is DC?
My name is DC Glenn. I'm one half of the hip hop group Tag Team. We made the song Whoomp, There It Is. And the last couple of years, we did a Geico commercial called Scoop, There It Is. And we've got a whole bunch of things coming up that just keep us relevant. And I'm the type of person that I have just always hustled. And I met Steve in high school in 11th grade and became real good friends because both our last names were G. And he had a band. And I was like, I got to be in that band. And then I was in the truancy office passing out passes for people who were late. And I heard beautiful music down the hall. And I was like, I got to be in that choir. And then I went to my first high school dance where I saw 2 turntables and a mixer. And I was like, I've got to be a DJ. And I became masterful in all. And that was my career path. And graduated from high school, went to college, learned how to write songs, learned how to make music because my boy Johnny Z had bought a 4-track. For those who know what 4-track is, cassette tape. You got 4 tracks to make a song to. And I figured it out and I made some classic songs with that thing. And I just got better and better. Started DJing all the frat parties, DJed my own parties and started DJing the clubs and came down to Atlanta. I came to visit Steve and I knew right then that I was moving to Atlanta. And as soon as I got to Atlanta, started working at a club called Magic City instantly. And then I started working at the biggest clubs in Atlanta. And we're making music all this time. And I knew that we had to make something up-tempo because we were in the Southeast. We come from hip-hop because I'm from Denver, went to school in California, ordered my records from the East Coast. So I knew everything about hip-hop. This is the 80s. And I went to Steve, said, hey, man, we got to make an up-tempo record. He's like, I love bass music, but I don't know how to make it. I was like, think Planet Rock and the old school electronic music, Kraftwerk, all that stuff like that. And our first attempt was Whoomp, There It Is. I'll never forget it. We recorded in August of 92. Went to the club that night, popped the cassette in. First song I played on my set. And to this day is the biggest response on any record I've ever had. And fast forward, like January 93, I had stopped playing it because my hubris as a young man, I'm like, every song I make is going to be the bomb. And one of the girls was like, why don't you play Whoomp, There It Is anymore? So I was like, I could play it again. Same thing happened, but a record company rep was in the house named Alan Cole from Columbia Records. He took it to New York. Now I got Columbia Records calling me. I'm like, ooh, this is going to work. I sent it to all the record companies. Now I got Epic, A&M, Warner Brothers, all these record companies talking to me. And it's amazing because they were all playing with me because they didn't know what to do. Back then, it was just LA and New York, right? So they didn't really know what to do with a down south record. And this one beautiful lady named Lisa McCall, she worked at Island Records. She was like, you need to talk to Al Bell. For those who know, Al Bell is the beginning of soul music. There were 3 record companies, Philly International, Motown with Berry Gordy, and Al Bell on Stax Records. And the year before, he put out a record called Daisy Dukes, which was one of those bass records. and it went gold. I was like, I could deal with gold. So I gave him a call. He called me back, and I was like, look, man, I got a hit record. I've tested them in the hottest clubs in the country. You got to sign us. He was like, okay. I was like, well, don't play with me. You haven't even heard the record. And he was like, brother, I don't have to hear the record. I hear it in your spirit. Let's agree to agree and get this thing moving. And I gave my 2 weeks in Magic City, club I was working at, signed a messed up record deal. And in a month and a half, Tag Team was platinum. And the rest is history.
Yeah, wow. What a story. So the two of you guys grew up in Denver,
Colorado,
right?
Annual High School, class of 84. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess you said Steven moved down to Atlanta first. He was down there in Georgia.
Yeah, he moved down in 88. And I just went down to visit him for one Christmas, and it blew my mind. And I knew that I was moving. I came back, finished up, packed up the truck, the U-Haul, and moved to Atlanta.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I had a job at CNN, but I went to the club. I'll never forget. It was a Friday. I got there on a Wednesday. We went to the club on a Friday because we went to the movies that night to see Spike Lee do The Right Thing. And after the club, we went to Magic. And the DJ was just drunk or something. And I was like, I could do this. And I went to the owner and he was like, come see me Monday. And he's like, I don't need a DJ, but I need a cook. Can you cook? I was like, yeah. So I think you'd be the cook and the backup DJ. I think I cooked 2 salads, ordered chicken wings. Then the day shift DJ was like, hey, man, I got to go run some errands. And he let me on his set. And I DJ'd the rest of the day. I made those girls one Monday ever made in their life because I knew what to do. Because back then, there was only one question. Can you rock a party? Can you move the crowd? And I've been the head DJ of every club that I've ever been in ever since. And I've been DJing for 30 years.
Wow.
Right? So I hustle. I love work. I've never not known how to work because my parents made us do chores. I've been stemming collard greens and shucking peas since I was 5 years old. My mom had a prep cook. Dad made me do the lawn, do the leaves, do the hedges, wash his car, all that stuff. But I appreciate that so much because as a grown man, I have never not known work or never feared it. So anything I want to do, I know I can accomplish it because I'm not scared to put in the work.
Yeah, it instilled a phenomenal work ethic in you that you took with yourself into adulthood. What I find amazing is when you're sharing your story about when you came up in high school, you heard the choir and said, man, I want to be part of that. Like this beautiful music that's coming out. You join the choir. Then you're at an event and you see the DJ out there. You're like, man, that's what I want to do. I want to control the music and control the crowd because that's what you do when you're a DJ at a party, right? You are controlling that crowd. You're controlling the listeners, right? And you're going to take them in whatever direction they're going to go. But good DJs feel out the crowd. They feel out the audience and they feel where they want to go. You know what I'm saying?
That translates into everything you do in your life.
Yeah.
Because now I'm a motivational speaker. So it's the same concept. Instead of the records, it's PowerPoint presentations and slides. Those are the records. So as long as I rock the party and at the end of the party, there's hair weave all over the place, broken glass, throw up, everybody's drunk. And everybody leaves happy, that's what it's about. And everything that I've ever done has been that process from me being an actor, me being a voice artist. Everything I do is about rocking the party, right? So you got to understand your first. And I think me being a DJ is the greatest thing that ever happened because I get a front row seat to humanity and human nature. And get to watch it and mold it and move it and shuffle it, right? Because I wasn't just a DJ. I knew I would play genres of music. I might play reggae and then everybody be on the floor for reggae. But then I would switch and I would play house and the floor would switch. But they would go to the bar. Other people would come to the floor. And I showed the owners this. That's why I always got paid top dollar because I had a business plan for how I did what I did. And I would show it to the owners. And I was like, watch what I do. And they watched it. And they saw that everybody went to the bar. Everybody did this. I could sell them champagne like crazy because I could say, we only got 10 bottles of champagne left. You better hurry get to the bar now. You got 100 people going to the bar. We got thousands of bottles of champagne. But that psyche.
The whole psychology piece.
Sense of urgency, right?
Yeah.
I did that with mixtapes. I have always been a hustler. I've always tried to take one opportunity and turn it into 10. And I have been very fruitful at it. And I could, even today, I just turned 56. I don't even feel it. I feel like I'm just getting started, right? Because everything revolves around technology. And what happens is people dismiss new things because they're used to the old things. And what happens is life passes them by. Like perfect example, in 2008, the financial crisis, everybody lost their manufacturing jobs. So because they didn't stay up on it and they didn't stay up on technology, life passed them by. Now they're sitting there waiting for all their jobs to come back and they're never coming back in the form that they were. You see what I'm saying? Same with the pandemic. Yeah. Those paradigms have shifted in a way that they're never coming back. That's how things evolve. But that's why there's haves and have-nots. And I learned that. It was a brutal lesson too. I learned that when vinyl switched over to CDs as far as DJing. It's like, I'll never DJ with no CDs. Get that out of here. And things start passing me by because I go into a club and they wouldn't have no turntables. It's like, wait a minute. And I vowed I'll never do that again. Those lessons and all the traumas that I have been through in my life, I make it easy on myself. I just vow, because they're not mistakes, they're opportunities. I vow to not let that happen again. It'll never happen again. So how you educate yourself for that not to happen. So I could tell you things that happened in my life and you'd be like, ooh, but it's no, because that gave me 10 opportunities to get better. And that's what I've done my whole life.
I like the way you look at things, DC, especially as you're describing, as things change, you have to evolve with the change that happens around you. Because if you don't, you'll get stuck in the Stone Age while everyone else is living in 2022.
Life passes you by.
Right? Exactly, yeah.
Not only life passes you by, people are victims of their own pride and ego. I've watched pride kill so many men because they don't want to do things differently. So that's why I constantly argue with the people I love, because I know it's not for everybody, but I got to at least try to change your perspective on how you deal with things, because the way they're doing it is not the way this new stuff is happening. It's just everything is different. I am masterful at SEO now, but that came from trauma. That came from me being pissed off because 2011, I get a call from New York Times. Hey, at DC, have you seen the Gawker article? I was like, no. It's like, the world thinks Barack Obama was in your music video. I was like, no. Then she gave my number to everybody. Now I'm doing interviews for 2 weeks on every big entity all over the world, asking us Barack Obama's. They took one little frame and it looks just like Barack Obama, I swear, a young Barack Obama. So they played with it and it was fun. But I was upset because at the end of that 2 weeks, I didn't have no money in my pocket. And I vowed that would never happen again because we didn't have a web presence. And I said, you know what? I'm going to learn websites, digital marketing, SEO. That was beginning of like social media when it got real strong, Instagram and all the big boys. And it took me a long time. Fast forward 2020, we're in the middle of the pandemic. I get a call from my agent for acting. It's like, DC, you booked a Geico commercial. I said, don't play with me, Lena. I haven't even auditioned for a Geico commercial. She's like, no, tag team. Because 5 years ago, you type in tag team was all wrestling. You type in tag team today, it's all tag team. I disambiguated myself from everything tag team Pokemon, tag team real estate duo, tag team this to tag team best friends. Disambiguate now, it's just all tag team. Geico didn't want to wait for me to call them back because they left me a message. They went to my IMDb because I could be found. I let my agent make the deal, end up being the biggest deal I ever made in my life.
Yeah, that was an awesome one too, because I remember when that commercial came out, I thought it was one of probably the best Geico commercials ever come out.
And we have been winning awards all season.
Yeah.
And it has ended up being the number one Geico commercial in history. That's what they're telling me. And I'm like, are you serious? Even more than the Hump Day? Like, yeah. Even more than the Caveman? Like,
you guys took out the Caveman.
And it was like, and it blew me away. Here's how I am, though. In the beginning, I knew because I heard preparation is everything. Because I went into it, I'm going to come in with 10 things to make this my own. So the night before, we went with the producers and the directors. I was like, look, I got some ideas. Are you open? Man, whatever you want to do, DC. Because they were like, whatever you guys want, that's what we're doing. I was like, well, I was trying to get a spin and scoop, but I couldn't fabricate one. We won't be a lot. No, DC, we'll have you a spin and scoop tomorrow. Whoa. I know kids love sprinkles. So we got to have a lot of sprinkles because there are a lot of things I want to do with sprinkles. Like DC, we will have a truckload of sprinkles for you. And I just went down the list of the things that I wanted to do. And the next day it was all there. And our energy and the way we do a part, it was like me DJing. I DJed the set of my life because I knew that this was an opportunity and I had to turn it into 10. And they could have shot 5 commercials with all the stuff we shot that day. And I was done. But then I'm still thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to take advantage of this? Can't do shows because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I was like, let me get a publicist. Publicists didn't want to work with me because they're like, we don't know how to do a Geico commercial. And they just gave me every reason why they shouldn't. And I remember having an argument with one of my best friends. He's a corporate guy. He was like, man, I just really want to see what the numbers are. It was after it dropped. I was like, you need to get with Geico and get the numbers from them. I was like, man, I'm not about to call Geico and be like, give me the numbers. And we had a nice debate about it. But I was listening and I said, I don't got to call Geico. Let me call the companies that Geico uses to get the data. So now I'm in a boardroom with iSpot TV because they're giving me the data. They're like, let me talk to my boss about this. Now they're like, you don't got to pay nothing. We want to do an interview with you. And then we're going to put all the statistics in there. So that'll be your value add when somebody's asking you for your value add when you go do a deal. Then I went to Nielsen. Called Nielsen. They were like, hey, I got to talk to my boss on this one. This is above my pay grade. I'm in a boardroom in Zoom with Nielsen. And they're like, it's going to be about this much. I was like, can't afford that right now. He's like, no, but we got subsidiary companies. And they hooked me up with all their subsidiary companies that could do it for $1,500 to $2,000. So now I have these entities that can build me a value add. So when I go into boardrooms to do other deals, if they're saying, well, why should we do you? That was just one thing. Bam, that's why. Right?
Yeah, it built that social proof. Right.
Yeah.
It's the numbers don't lie. Right.
Numbers don't lie. Relevance. And you have to keep creating relevance. And I learned, and see, here's the thing. I knew that this was the turning point for me, just as in my psyche of how I thought about there it is, because I'm sitting in a movie theater looking at Will Ferrell dance on the table to Whoomp, There It Is, and Elf. And I'm pissed because I didn't even know the deal was made. And I'm not getting any of that deal. But I pushed that bet to the back of my head and I said, dude, what are you talking about? That's the glass half empty. What's the glass half full? The glass half full is you now have a forever hit record because every year Christmas time is going to be played. It's up to you to go get your money. Nobody's going to give you anything. It's up to you. And every time it's in a commercial or whatever, I try to create relevance or a value add to let people know in entities across the world, which is in the form of press releases or whatever, that tag team is relevant. And you build that stock. And every year there's an instance where we are relevant. And we have been relevant for 28 years. What group is relevant 28 years after one damn song?
Yeah, now I love it because you took something that somebody would probably get pretty sour about, right? Especially if they're using something that you created back in 93 is when it came out. Yeah. Something that you created back then.
My baby's like my child.
You got nothing out of that, right? You didn't get no royalty.
No, we got paid because we're kind of lucky because we got the writer side on the publishing, but the side where you get the royalties for it being on commercials and stuff like that. Because we're in SAG, we get royalties. See, because we did things right, I can live a comfortable life with a little bit of supplementary stuff for a while. Now I don't have to do it. I can do whatever I want to do now. But like from in the 2000s, it was rough because there was two record companies fighting over it and they were using us as pawns. And it was just like, you guys getting all this money and we're getting nothing. But we get a certain amount every quarter. And if it was in a commercial, we would get SAG royalties, which is real nice. And if it was in a movie, we might get some, we might not. But then it was up to me to hustle up the shows to say, hey, this is what we're doing. So now we're doing NBA halftimes and NFL halftimes. That's our bread and butter throughout the 2000s. And then I just have always hustled and it has paid off. Back then, everybody was like, man, you doing this and you doing that. You're a jack of all trades master. I was like, yeah, but if you live long enough, learn how to learn, you become masterful at those trades. And they all come back to serve you in ways you never thought imaginable. But the fact that you planted the seeds and you prepared, they came back and served you. Perfect example, and this ties into why we're here. Around 99, I vowed that no one would ever beat me out of money again. So I said, I'm about to learn about finance. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to learn. And I end up passing the Series 3 exam, became a licensed commodities broker, right? And my approach was, let me go fail this test. Because I could take it 3 times. Let me go fail the test and see what's on the test. And I passed the second time. Now I'm a licensed commodities broker. I'm working for 3 different firms. But I didn't like being a broker because I'm selling financial services for people that don't know what they're selling. I couldn't do that. And then I would have had to give up music and DJing because that was like show money to me. I was making good money doing that, plus doing shows. So even though that didn't pan out, and even when that didn't pan out, I was like, well, let me start my own hedge fund. I don't know how to do a hedge fund. How do you do a hedge fund? Because I know everybody. Deion Sanders, Dominique Wilkins. I'm in Atlanta. I know everybody. I can get everybody with some money under management if I can figure out this commodities thing. So I started calling people. I'm like, you guys manage hedge funds, right? My name is DC Glenn from Tag Team. Remember the song Whoomp, There It Is? Yeah, I remember that song. So I'm just trying to see what your services are because I'm looking for somebody to manage my hedge fund. It was like, man, sure. Can I get a meeting? Cool. So I'm getting meetings in New York, LA, Vegas. I'm in this boardroom in Vegas. We're doing all the fan stuff at the beginning. But then I asked them, why should I let you manage my hedge fund? Oh, DC, because the bottom line will be this. They just went through a whole presentation. And what they didn't understand is while they were pitching me, they were me. And after I went through that whole round robin, I knew exactly what a hedge fund was. And it wasn't for me. That would have just took me all away from everything. But The year 2000, I would look at CNBC. I didn't know what they were talking about. Year 2002, I knew everything they were talking about. And then I developed an approach just from a nice financial advisor I met one day walking through this little thing. And she said, we're going to do it. She gave me her pitch. She said, we're going to do it easy. We're going to have a bunch of little buckets. You got your corporation already. So you can put some money in these little buckets here, and then you put these little buckets here, and we just fill up these buckets every year and leave them alone. And I was making so much money to where I even took my check and I was saying, take my check and put it in that bucket. I don't even want to see my money. And I have always made money because of that financial literacy hustle that I put together for me, right? And now if I have a good year, if it's a good harvest, I'm not trying to pay that. Let me dump this here and here so I don't have to pay taxes on it. I don't see it because I don't need it because I've done everything. I don't need no cars. I don't need nothing. I'm good. So I make it to where I can't see my money because if I see it, I'll spend it for nothing just because. And that's not the way to do it. And part of that is getting control of your emotions and not falling into what everybody falls into. So, now it's smooth sailing. I still it's crazy because me doing podcasts, I do 2 or 3 of these every day. And I've gotten two more financial advisors off of these podcasts just so I can have it diversified a little bit more, right? Because I know what people are talking about when they tell me. And this is neutral ground. You're not doing a financial podcast to beat people out of money or to get customers. You're doing it because you want to educate people. And that's where you go to get your information as opposed to the information itself. That's why I joined organizations, societies, associations, because those are entities that the people in it love their profession and they've been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years and they can't wait to tell you everything. And they have all the resources and they can shorten your path of what not to do and what to do just like that. Then it's up to you. Let's see what your hustle game is. And that's how I do it.
Hey everyone, Mike with Average Joe Finances. The Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, aka RubeCon, is on for 2023. It'll be May 4th through the 6th in Phoenix, Arizona at the Sheraton downtown. I'll be speaking again this year and I want to see you there. This year I'm doing 2 speaking events, one about growing your investor network through podcasting and the other is about investing while in the military. We have some great speakers lined up, so you don't want to miss this conference. Visit averagejoefinances.com/RubeCon, REWBCON, or the link in the notes below and use promo code MIKE for discounted tickets. See you there. What if I told you that you could be debt-free in 5 to 7 years? Hey, it's Mike Cavaggioni with the Average Joe Finances podcast, and I partnered with the Shred Method to help you pay off your mortgage fast. I personally used this method and was able to invest in 2 large multifamily apartment deals, pay off almost $30,000 in home renovation debt, and pay down a large chunk of my mortgage all within 3 months. I am confident in the Shred Method because it works. Did you know that you can eliminate your mortgage with the power of a simple tool called a HELOC? You can learn more about all of this at theshredmethod.com/averagejoefinances. And if you use that link, you're going to save $200 off of your initial cost. Again, this is something that I know works because I use it myself. And that's www.theshredmethod.com/averagejoefinances. Or just click that link below. Let's get back to today's episode. Yeah, absolutely love it. You got to respect the hustle that you've had throughout your entire time. Just learning what you did to learn about hedge funds, just to find that it wasn't for you, it's amazing. You went out there and let these guys pitch you. And the whole time you're like, okay, cool. Now I know what this is. And now I know what that is. And absorbing all that information. And then at the end, you're like, nah, this ain't for me. Right. Then you meet the one financial advisor that tells you, hey, let's diversify everything into these different buckets, which I love that. So you got a great financial advisor, for one, that explained to you how to diversify everything. But the great part is you got to learn that piece of what to do with your money just from the hustle that you've already had, because you were willing to go out there and learn and absorb all of that information. And like you mentioned, too, it's one of the reasons why we have a podcast like this is to put this information and make it more accessible to people that wouldn't normally get this information put in front of them.
That's why everybody's, so you got a podcast? Yeah. No, I'm more effective being a guest on a podcast.
Yeah.
Because I reach more people that way. I can reach 1 million people a day, depending on the podcast that I'm on. And I can talk about everything from finance to SEO to music industry to whatever. And it all ties in together because all of it is relative. You need business for your music industry. You're going to need business for SEO. You're going to need business for... I'm my own publicist. And you know how that happened? All the publicists were like, I don't know what to do with a Geico commercial. I'm my own damn publicist. And I joined the organization, Public Relations Society of America. 2 days in, this is Super Bowl week. I'm on a Zoom cast with the CEO of this PR firm we get to ask questions to. I said, a press release is relevant? I know they are, but I need the validation. And she's, what's it for? I'm like, I'm featured in a Geico commercial called Scoop, There It Is. And I'm looking at the chat and they're like, wait a minute. That can't be him. My mom loves that commercial. My auntie loves that. My grandma. Now the whole thing is about me. And the CEO is, yes, that's going to work because the whole last year has been, she was excited. The whole last year has been COVID. Every story has been COVID. The whole last year, every story has been political. And here you guys come throwing sprinkles and spinning scoops. You bringing joy to the world. So you're going to go here for all the publicists, here for all TV talk shows, here for all the journalists, here for all the podcasters. And you're going to make sure your pitches are like this. She gave me the entire breadth of her experience in 10 minutes. And it's changed my life forever. And is the reason you and I are talking right now.
Wow. Yeah, that is awesome.
That is why organizations are perfect, because you can learn fundamentals from them, but then you get to put your hustle to something you know is valid. Now nobody can do it but you. And you can teach that to people who want to learn hustle. Now you have developed a team. And now you're unstoppable.
You got me fired up, man. You got me fired up and feeling motivated right now.
But this is even better.
Yeah.
Because I do this every day, this turned into me joining NSA, National Speakers Association. Me doing podcasts every day is killing 14 birds with one stone. I'm practicing articulation for my voiceover. I'm practicing storytelling for storytelling. I'm practicing, am I keeping you engaged? I'm practicing all these things that are human nature. Is my message correct? All these things. And I'm like, I'm good at this. Let me go see if I could be a motivational speaker. And now I'm in NSA being mentored by dudes that make $2-3 million a year. Like, you're going to make a killing. And there's no timetable for it because this is my ride out. I can do it whenever I want to do it. This is not really my career, but I know that if I put a good show together, I will get booked. And now I get to amplify this to the world even more, or to people who really need it, because they won't bring you in unless they're trying to motivate their people. Imagine me, I'm working on a TED Talk now, right? The reason I know that is because I studied the hierarchy of what you got to do to even do a TED Talk. They want you to start with TEDx, and they want you to develop your skills, and then you might be able to do it. But I'm like, I know what you want. So how can I get to the top? I see it, right? So how do I work my way back? How do I figure it out to get to that point? And I've done it. So now I'm ready. All I got to do is put it to practice it, go out, speak, whatever. But that's something else, because right now that doesn't fit in my big ball of focus. Right now, I've made us so relevant that I'm on tour. I'm on 3 different tours. We're gone every weekend, right? So I got to get the show money because that's the most lucrative right now. But then we get in a TV appearance, got a big one coming up. Then I book on an acting gig. I'm like on 5 different TV shows, 2 movies coming out and stuff down the pipe. Like, I love my life because I get to do a bunch of stuff a little bit, because if it becomes too much, it becomes a job, and I don't want no job. I like to do just a bunch of things a little bit, and it's not about money. It's not about success. It's about mastery. It's about the quest for mastery. You don't get there, but because you're on the quest for mastery and you want to master things, you're always working towards mastery. And even if you get halfway there, you've done more than most people will ever do in their life. And I'm trying to be masterful of 20 different things. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, it goes back to that comment that you made earlier that was it your cousin or a friend that had told you, like, oh, you're a jack of all trades, but master of none?
Oh, my father. That's the people who love you the most. Like, people say,
and that's by design, though.
Yeah, people don't understand. I hear a lot of motivation. People say, you got to stay away from negative people. Keep negative people out of your life. And I'm like, no, bring them. Because what if the people that love you the most, you better figure it out. You better figure out how to deal with them. The only way you can deal with them is to don't react. Take it, put it in your pocket, use it for fuel for later. So when you're on this real hard problem that you're trying to figure out, remember when he told you wasn't going to be shit? Yeah, I remember that. Let's figure this thing out. That's the fuel. But if you react to it, it keeps you stuck because you're always reacting. But when you learn to control your emotions and control your ego and kill your pride, your mind is truly open to every possibility imaginable. Then there's nothing in life you can't do. And I love when people come to me with problems and solutions and complaining, because I ask simple questions like, what do you want? What's the solution? Man, no. What's the solution? Man, I ain't worried about it. It's like, You so busy stuck in your own crap that you haven't even figured out the solution. What's the solution since you know something? I was like, well, what do you want? And I said, oh, this is how I do it. I see it. I take the most pie in the sky, fantastical, just unreasonable goal that I can find. Right. And they're like, man, you can't do that. I'm like, you can't. But what if I inch my way back? Can't do that either. What if I bring it back a little bit more? I'm halfway doing that. If I applied this, maybe I might be able to spin it around. And if you bring it back a little bit more, you're doing that now. So if you go get some advice from them and then figure this part out, and then if you bring it back now, you're doing that now. And what I've just done is I've just created a reverse business plan with a step ladder to my goals and dreams. Because I saw it first. I saw it first and I brought my way back down to practicality. Now it's up to the hustle.
Yeah. No, so what I just wrote down while you were saying that is like the way you just described that, I was like, you just reverse engineered that problem.
Exactly.
Right? So you identified the problem. You said, okay, here's the solution. But then you work backwards from there.
Work your way back.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I here yet? No. Am I here yet? No. But I'm doing this part right here. And then you can figure out, okay, you know what you're good at, right? Now you know what you need to work on to keep moving forward towards the end goal of the solution that you had already identified.
That's how I do everything.
Love that.
And some things you really can't get to yet. Some things you might not be financially able to get to something, but you saw it. You saw that goal. You saw that dream. You know what you want, right? I wanted to be an actor. I didn't start till 2017, but I see myself on the stage getting an Academy Award. Come on, DC, you tripping. All right, work your way back. Let's get a Golden Globe. Nope, let's just become an actor. Can you get on a TV show? Can you get in a movie? No. What you got to do? You got to go to class. You got to get over your emotions. You got to understand the hierarchy of what acting is from the producer all the way down to the actor. You got to do all these things. And then all of a sudden, I'm booking. Now I'm a working actor. Now I get to go out for all the new movies that come out. I get to. So now I'm halfway there. I am one good role from maybe getting something because I'm going after mastery. So I need to work. And the pandemic helped me because all the actors were out of work, but Atlanta was still popping. So I use this site called We Audition. Now I'm training with, it's a site for like readers when you got to do it. But all the readers are other actors. They're soap opera actors. They're Juilliard trained actors. They're actors that have been classically trained in Europe. I got a squad of actors that work, done movies, have won awards, that read for me. And they're teaching me while they're reading for me because they know what to do. And they see me as, dang, Whoomp, there it is. I get to do an audition with Whoomp. And I don't see it that way, but they see it that way. Now we're both helping each other because I'm teaching about SEO. I'm motivating them like, you do this, do that, do this, that. I had a meeting with my agents the other day. So all 6 of them for film and television. And I talked the whole time because I was telling them everything that an actor should do to get in their good grace and then telling them what an actor shouldn't do to validate what they shouldn't do. I already knew this, but you got to do it from time to time. And this one, she's brand new from New York. I was like, and one thing I try to tell actors do, but they don't do it. I said, every acting coach you have, every casting director, leave a Google review with your headshot. Now the whole city sees you. Everybody sees you because they're going to look at their Google My Business. And if you do it right and you SEO it right, you will always be at the top of their Google reviews, your headshot. And somebody might say, wait a minute, that's the guy we're looking for this part. Now, I'm not emotionally attached to it because there is no quid pro quo. I'm not doing this because I think I'm going to get me a role. I'm doing this because this is preparation, planting seeds. Every year there's going to be a harvest if you plant seeds. It's just one year is going to be better than the other. You might have a string of good years and have a string of bad years. But even a bad year, the fact that you plant a seed, you're going to have something to eat. That's how I look at it. Everything
that's a great way to look at it.
You have to look at it that way. I look at it as, I'm not even going to get the job. I care less if I get the job or not because it's out of my hands. Everybody thinks that when you do an audition, the casting director is there critiquing your acting. He can't act. He can't be in this movie. It has nothing to do with that. You got to understand the hierarchy. You got to understand that casting director got a job to do. They got to fill 200 roles. You got to help that casting director do their job. How do you do that? You give the best performance you can and keep it moving. You do it quick. If you get it in, if they give you 4 days, turn it in 2. You make their job practical. These are practical things that you do. Don't wait till the last minute because then you clumped up with everybody else. It's human nature. People wait till the last minute. If I do it first, I'm in their brain first. Somebody got to come knock me out the box. But because I was first, they've already got their mind made up. I think I like him for this. But if I'm in that group of a whole bunch of last, they get confused because they got a job to do. They got to look at these 13 people or these 100 people. That's what they do. So you got to understand that comes from SEO. That's all it is. SEO is This is SEO. Answer the question, right? How do I boom? This is how you do that. Answer the question. So if you ask that, if you see that on Google and I answer the question and you can come to my site and see everything else, I get the job and the services because everybody's like, don't you do social media? You got to have social media. Everybody, no, social media is emotional. I said, see, y'all think y'all need 100,000 people to like you. I don't need 100,000 people to like me. I just need 100 people to pay me.
There you go. There you go. It's that simple. Yeah,
it's that simple. And you do that by getting in front of the people who need your services. If I'm a plumber and I SEO right, well, then somebody takes a dump, blows up their toilet. There's doo-doo everywhere. Oh, my God, I need somebody to fix my toilet. DC Plumbing. I get the job.
It pops up because you're answering the question. Right? That's what the SEO is all about. So this has been absolutely awesome. Like I'm saying, you got me pumped up and feeling motivated right now. I want to transition this into something that we call the final round. I'm going to ask you 4 questions that we ask everybody that comes on the show. 3 of them will give the audience an idea of how you are under pressure or when you've had to make hard choices in life. And I think we've got some of that already just out of the initial interview. But if you're ready to go,
we only scratched the surface.
Yeah, we'll get this party started.
All right, let's go.
All right. So the first question, DC, is what's the biggest mistake you've ever made in your finances?
Sac State in 85. They had a bunch of tables laid out. All the credit card companies came to campus. It's like, we got free money for you. Get a credit card. I got 4 credit cards. My credit was messed up for years. No one explained to me about credit.
You didn't have that education.
Didn't have that education, but now I'm masterful of credit. I'm helping this girl do her credit now. She thinks she just has no hope. I'm like, you're actually not as bad as you think you are. Just do a couple things here when you're done.
Yeah.
You turn your trauma into treasure. There are no mistakes. There are no missed opportunities. As long as you're breathing, you can correct all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any mistake that you think is a mistake, it really is just education, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to take advantage of. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Next question is, what is something that you've learned that you wish you knew when you first started your career?
I wish I had known how. I have a phrase that I have: learn how to learn. It's not enough just to learn. You got to learn how to learn. I didn't know how to learn back then. I had a couple little hustles where I knew how to get things, but I didn't know. If I had known to go to an organization back then, if I had known how to learn back then, my path would have been a whole lot different. And I would have done better in school. I would have done a lot of these things, but it's okay because I had a ball back then. I partied. I was a DJ. Right? Like I'd probably be in real estate now. I would have went to real estate school real quick and got it over with and just understood what everything was. And that is what I would do. Learn how to learn. It's not enough just to learn. You have to learn how to learn.
I like that.
That's organizations. That's where if I got a long email, you get long emails all the time. You see them, you're like, I start reading it. By the end of it, I'm daydreaming. I got to read it again. But I don't do that no more. I throw it in the AI. Now it reads back to me. Now I'm picking up everything as I'm reading other emails. Now I'm ambidextrous because I can get it still. Right? I can get it. I have things read to me that I don't want to read. But then if I have to read, I have to read sometimes because I got to read scripts to do voiceover. So it's not, see, everybody think, well, that's cheating. No, it's not. That's practicality. There's a practical solution for this situation here. If you got to read 100 emails, this can get you through faster. So that's time. But people see things how they see it. And it ain't for everybody.
It ain't for the people that aren't willing to hustle.
Yeah, open their mind and stuck in their own thing, stuck in their own ego, think they know.
So actually, I was going to say, so this next question kind of ties into that. So this will probably be helpful. Do you have any tips or tricks that you would recommend to someone that is just getting started out today?
Yeah. Write down a list of 5 things you want to do that you're interested in, right? And then put association, organization, or society after them in a Google search. Then get a list of all those organizations, pick up the phone, call each organization, find out how much it costs beforehand on the website, find out how much it costs to join the organization. Then call them and say, I'm interested in joining your organization. Why should I pay this $395 a year to be in your organization? And let them pitch you and teach you at the same time.
I like that. Just exactly what you did with the hedge fund managers. That's amazing. Yeah.
It's that simple. Because there's going to be at least 10 organizations for everything. There's going to be regional organizations. There's going to be local organizations. And you just call them and you say, I want to be a member of your organization, but why? And they're going to tell you. And then you start piecing all this stuff together. And then you go to the next conversation and you could throw something you learned from the last conversation. Then they know they're not wasting their time because some people can pick that out a little bit. But if you call, I'm trying to do this, or you can make it even more simple. look, I'm new to this. I really want to learn how to do this because I think this is what I want to do. Can you please help me? Please goes a long way.
That's why they call it the magic word.
It's the magic word. Can you please help me? What do I have to do to be in you guys' organization? Right? There's several ways you could do it, but you got to pick up the phone and call the organization. Man, I'm in the Grant Writers Association of America, not because I want to learn how to write grants, but because I want to understand grants. What better way to understand grants than talk to grant writers? So I pick up the phone, start calling grant writers. Then I realized there's 4,000 grants as of today. And I'm like, wait a minute, there goes a grant where I could talk to disadvantaged young youth. That starts my motivational speaking career and I could practice while I'm funded. And now since I'm in a grant writing organization, I hire somebody who writes grants to write my grant because they all are transparent. And they're like, I got $18 million of grants underneath my belt. This firm has this amount of grant. You know who's for real and who's not. And they're not in that organization if they're not real. And now you got somebody to write your grant on a level that you need your grant wrote. And when they turn it in, you have a better possibility to get that grant than anybody else. And there's tons of them because 80% of grants are by philanthropists or people who want to help people.
Yeah. No, DC, that's fantastic. I wrote that down because I think that's huge. Find 5 things that you're interested in, 5 things that you want to do, and then go find the organization.
That's the classes. That's why I tell them, they be like, you got advice for graduating class? Because some of y'all are not going to go to college. Some of y'all going to be hustlers. Some of y'all going to do this. Whatever it is you do and you get a little money, if you hustling or if you hustling bad, you want to have legitimate companies. So figure out what you would like to do and then develop those legitimate companies while you getting money. Or it don't even have to be illegal. It could be, you could be a basketball player. You could be, here's the thing. Everybody expects people to do stuff for them. That's why everybody ends up being victims, because all you got to do is say, let me learn about the things that I really would like to have if I get some money. Then you already know. So if anybody comes to you, you're like, I'm good. I'm in the organization. And if you're an athlete or whatever, rapper, whatever, they're going to see you. They're going to be like, I can help you. And then now you got the best help and you close that gap of what not to do and what to do.
Yeah. Just reverse engineer it, right? Just like you talked about before, build that business plan in reverse and you're going to hit it.
You have to see it first.
Yep. Got a visual. Yeah. You have to have that vision.
You got to have that vision. I've got so many visions, but I just got to see it. You have to.
It's awesome.
Yeah, man. And I've got 15 of them in the hole. I can't get to them yet. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I know I'll always be right, because I know how to go get the information to do what I need to do.
And you've learned that throughout your career of hustling, right? You've learned how to find that information. That's amazing, man. I love it.
Here's the beauty of it. 28 years ago, I planted a seed called Whoomp. There it is. And now it's a sequoia. It ain't going nowhere. And you plant seeds like that of relevance throughout your life, you'll always be okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
All right. Final question of the final round is, do you have a favorite business, investing, or real estate related book or podcast, or both?
Man, I'm all over the place. The way I do it, because I went through the whole self-help thing. So go through all the self-help books and take one thing from it. If you can take one thing from it, helps your hustle. Because after the financial thing, I was like, just one book, I can't remember, but it was like this guy wanted to do a pie company. So he went to work at a pie spot. He was a dishwasher. He did all things at a pie company, learned how to do it, quit, opened his own pie store. Then somebody was like, I think people will like your pies, financed it, sold it for $20 million. He called that thing getting in the corridor, jumping in and getting dirty with it so you can see what it actually does so you can be masterful at doing the business. And I did that while I was DJing. I said, what can I do to get in the corridor? And as me being a DJ, put together a marketing business plan for the company, for the club that you're at. I don't know how to put no business plan together. So I got help to put together a business plan. It took me about a year. Took me a year to put together a business plan. But once I put together this business plan, I went and bought a screen, going with a PowerPoint presentation. And I was sitting in my owner's office and I gave this PowerPoint presentation how I can increase her bottom line. And she cut me a check for $25,000. And I was not only the DJ, but I'm the light guy. I'm the sound guy. I do your television spots. I do your radio spots. I'm your voiceover. I do all your fashion photography. I get all your girls in the magazines. Now I'm your marketing manager, right? I made myself invaluable. That's what people got to do if they're at a job they can't stand. Learn how to do everybody else's job. Then the next job is just a bridge to the next that makes you better. You develop that toolbox of things that help you when life hits you, where nothing can stop you. And that's what I did, man. And I started, and then I read one. It was like, run your life like a corporation. I don't know how to run my life like a corporation. How do I know? You got to know what kind of corporation you want to be. How do I get it? Well, you need a tax guy. You need a bookkeeper. And I got all these things. My bookkeeper wasn't doing my books right. So I said, well, let me learn how to be my own bookkeeper. Now I'm masterful at QuickBooks. I know where every penny goes.
That's fantastic.
I give it to my tax guy, but I know my tax person tells me all the things because they go to the meetings every year. So now I can be creative in how I do my bookkeeping. So it lines up perfectly for the taxes.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Change every year. They change every year. And people are like, they don't teach us that. They're not supposed to. And nobody ever will give you anything. And that's why I tell people, I was like, look, man, all this stuff I'm saying is way easier said than done. Trust me, it will never, ever get easier, but it does get better.
Yeah. If all you do is take action, just got to get started.
That's it, man. And I found out even if something don't work out, it comes back and serves you later just because you learned it a little bit.
Yeah.
You continue on. It might have been a cake that took an hour to make, but you only let it bake for 15 minutes. That happens to us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're just not ready. But if you get back to it, get that recipe. That's just another tool in the tool.
You'll perfect it. All right. So DC, this has been, you become ambidextrous. There you go. This has been awesome. So I've got one more question for you. And this is probably the most important question of all, because people that are listening to this episode are probably feeling all pumped up right now, motivated, just like I am. And they're like, man, I want to know more about what DC's doing. I want to know more about just the productions that he's getting involved in and everything that he's doing. And we want to see, like, where can we find that information? So DC, could you share with us? Do you have a website, social media, anything like that you can share with the listeners?
That's the beauty of SEO. You type in DC Glenn and it's all there. You type in tag team, it's all there. You type in Whoomp, there it is, it's all there. Everything is there because I know SEO, I'm able to be found. You put yourself in front of the people that want your services. You put yourself in front of the people that can pay you. So all you got to do is type in my name and I pop up and you'll see IMDb. And then you'll know every movie that I've been in. You'll know every TV show I got coming up. You just type in, it's that simple. But DC Glenn ATL is the handle across the board for me. Tag Team Whoomp is the handle across the board for Tag Team. And tagteambackagain.com is the website. And everybody can leave a Google My Business review on Tag Team : there it is. If they like what I'm saying or if they want help, I help people all the time. You know what I mean? If you got a question, email me. I'll answer it for you. I'll make a video for you. That's how I help people. I make a video. But look, this is how you do this. Boom, boom. Then they can watch along with it while I'm teaching them. That's how I train my staff. Anybody that wants to work for me, they get trained that way. And it's easier for me. And I learn more. And I just want to thank you for letting me come on here and run my mouth because I learn more from talking. I swear, I learned so much by talking. Today, it was all in the pocket. Right? Like I tell the same story 150 different times. I don't think I've ever told the story this way.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
It's just different every single time, but it's all relative. It's all relevant. And it all helps people because these are the things that I have been through and they have worn on me and they have made me be negative. Like with having a messed up record contract, I could have became old bitter rapper, but that's looking at the glass half empty. But I said, wait a minute, I'm going to get my day in court. So you better be ready. And I basically became a paralegal. Learn what emotion is, learn how things come to trial, learn the jargon. I have to learn the vocabulary. That's the same way with finance. Once I learned the vocabulary, I knew what it was. Anything, learn the vocabulary first, then you'll understand what people are talking about. Then you can put it all together. And when it was time, I had a big box of Discovery, found a good lawyer, and she tore them up. And it was at a cost because you go to war, you're going to lose an arm and a leg. Maybe you come back with an eye patch, but you living. You live to fight another day and you live to go on. And as long as you're breathing, there's nothing on this earth you can't do.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Even in closing, look at that. DC dropping some golden nuggets for everybody. So, hey, again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, no problem, man.
Awesome. And hey, to my listeners, thank you for joining me and our special guest, DC Glenn, on the Average Joe Finances podcast. Go leave us a 5-star review and tell us what you liked about today's episode with DC. Aloha from Hawaii and have a great rest of your day. Thank you for making it to the end of this episode. Greatly appreciate you being here with me today on the Average Joe Finances podcast. If you haven't done so yet, make this the episode that you go leave us a 5-star rating or subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Average Joe Finances podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Have an outstanding day.
Thanks for listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast, your source for beating debt, saving money, and investing. Learn more at averagejoefinances.com.